Your house is full of waiting vultures.
I have seen wars, Adeheze. I have seen hunger. But nothing prepares a man for children who celebrate his end before his
In the ancient town of Ezioba, where red earth glowed like embers under the sun and palm trees stood like silent witnesses of generations, there lived a man whose name carried both respect and quiet fear, Chief Nnamdi Okoro. He was not just wealthy. He was legendary. His compound was the largest in the village, with high carved gates, polished marble floors, and statues brought from distant lands. Traders came from Lagos, Onitsha, even beyond the sea, just to do business with him. Gold did not surprise him anymore. Money no longer moved his face. But what troubled his old age was not wealth, it was his own blood. Chief Nnamdi had 3 children and 5 grandchildren. But it was the grandchildren who haunted his silence. They did not walk. They did not learn. They did not build. They only waited. Every morning, they woke late, gathered under the mango trees, and argued about which car they would drive when the old man finally rests. They spoke about estates they had never contributed to, money they had never earned, and women and parties they had not yet even attended. To them, Chief Nnamdi was not a grandfather. He was a calendar. A countdown. And among them, the loudest was Kamsi, the eldest grandson. He wore designer clothes bought from his grandfather's money and spoke with a confidence that had no foundation. Why stress yourself? Kamsi would say, sipping chilled drinks while servants clean around him. Grandfather is old. Any day now, everything becomes ours. Life will finally begin. The others laughed, agreeing as though death was a scheduled event. Only one person in the house saw everything clearly. A housekeeper named Adis, who had served Chief Nnamdi for over 20 years, often warned him quietly. "Chief," she said one evening as she folded his linen, "your house is full of waiting vultures." But the old man only sighed. "I have seen wars, Adis. I have seen hunger. But nothing prepares a man for children who celebrate his end before his time." Still, something in him began to change. He started observing them differently. He stopped speaking at family dinners and simply listened. And what he heard was worse than he feared. One night, Kamsi whispered to his cousin, "If the old man delays too much, we may need to speed nature." The words did not even shock him anymore when he later heard them through a half-open door. Instead, they settled into him like dust. That night, Chief Nnamdi did not sleep. He sat in his private study, surrounded by portraits of ancestors, and made a decision that no one in his family could have predicted. "If they want my death," he murmured into the darkness, "then I will give them a death. But not the one they understand." The next morning, the entire compound woke to chaos. Chief Nnamdi Okoro had collapsed. Servants screamed. Phones rang. The gates were opened wide as doctors rushed in, shaking their heads with grave expressions. By evening, word had spread across Ezioba. The chief was gone. Dead. In the grand sitting room, the grandchildren gathered. But there was no grief in their eyes. Only silence and anticipation. Kamsi was the first to speak, barely hiding his excitement. "So, it is done." Another cousin whispered, "We should start checking the documents." A third added, "I called the Black Range Rover." They did not even wait for burial before their minds began dividing his life like meat on a cutting board. But what they did not know was that behind the heavy curtain of the upper floor, someone was watching. Chief Nnamdi was not dead. He lay in a specially prepared chamber above the house, connected to whispers, microphones, and hidden lenses installed weeks before. Beside him stood Adis, the only person who knew the truth. "You are certain about this, Chief?" she asked softly. He stared at the screen showing his grandchildren smiling downstairs. "I want to see what my legacy truly is when I am no longer standing in their way." "But this is dangerous," she said. He nodded. "So is inheritance in the hands of the unworthy." Downstairs, preparations for the burial began faster than grief should allow. Designers were already called to measure fabrics for mourning clothes. One grandson argued about coffin style as if choosing furniture. On the third day, a lawyer arrived with sealed envelopes. The will reading began. To my beloved family. But confusion quickly spread. Assets were listed, but names were not. Properties went to unknown foundations. Businesses to trust. Wealth redirected away from personal hands. Kamsi stood up furious. This is nonsense. We are his blood. Then came the final clause. My death is not final. I am watching. A recorded voice filled the room. It was Chief Nnamdi. Alive. I told you, his voice echoed, I have seen wars. I have seen hunger. But nothing prepared me for children who wish me dead. Silence fell like iron. The system began immediately. No access to money. No privileges. Only work. Manual labor. Discipline. Accountability. At first, rebellion. Then resistance. Then exhaustion. Then change. Kamsi broke first, refusing to obey, then slowly forced into work when every shortcut failed. Others followed, reluctantly at first, then with growing understanding. But the hardest lesson was not labor. It was watching themselves change under pressure. On the 39th day, Addis gathered them. He will address you tomorrow. Shock spread. Morning came. A cloth-covered platform stood in the courtyard. Addis stepped forward. The chief is not here in body. She revealed a mirror. And a letter. I did not fake my death to deceive you. I did it so you could see yourselves without my shadow. Then the final blow. The real Chief Nnamdi Okoro passed away last night. A stunned silence. But before his passing, he left everything to the one who never waited for it. Everyone turned. At the back stood Obi, the quiet cousin who never spoke about wealth, who walked without complaint, who was never part of their schemes. He had already been chosen by character, not bloodlust. As the gates opened behind him, Addis whispered. The chief always said there would be one final twist. And somewhere far away, a phone rang in an empty study, unanswered.
If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more amazing stories. This is Folktales by Terry, and until next time, adios.